Y'all know me, man. I just be posting kind of like what I be finding and stuff. But so this is a person in my family who married in at a young age to the Chickasaw warrior Ali Kohio Hash. Her name was French Nancy, and when I first saw her, because I've never seen the last name French, actually, I have on a couple of people now that I think about it. But regardless of that, when I first saw it, because it's listed as the first name, I was like, are they meaning that this woman is French? You know, like, hey, that's French Nancy. Hey, that's Jersey Ryan or something like that. New Jersey Ryan. That's Cali Mike, whatever. And that ended up being what it was. But I didn't really put it together when I saw Scott Rooster. When I saw Scott Rooster, because we've heard the name Scott, we just kind of take it to be, a name, first or last. But it wasn't until I actually pulled up this information here, because I'm trying to look into his history, because he's a full-blooded Cherokee. I'll show you that. I'll show you real quick, so that way on this video post, people will know when I just do it in real time. But here's a Cherokee Nation card. There's no Freedman on it. And when you go in here, there's Scott Rooster and then his wife, Josie Scott. And I noticed that they put it last name for her, first name for him, and that's why I was still confused. But they show full blood right here. Show full blood. And it shows their children. Riley, which ends up being Rolla Scott, is connected to me from here. And I thought that was a woman, but it's actually a male, Riley. But regardless of that, I was looking up the information, and so I went to this source, and they talked about on WikiTrees Scott Rooster, Cherokee Nation, son of Peggy Rooster, husband's name, or whatever. But it says son of Peggy Rooster. So I had looked up this. I had went back and went back and went back, and regardless, let me get to what I'm getting at. I saw this dude, Archibald Cootie Jr., because it said here his original name was Cody, but Rooster was his original name. It went by Scott Cody. But long story short, I went over here, and I'm still looking into this. I'm trying to figure out how this dude is connected to them. And I'll show you why I say that. You got Archibald Cody Jr. He was a half-breed Cherokee of the Long-Hair clan. His mother's name was Yugi Hodi, and I looked her up. She was a full-blooded Cherokee, and he was a half-blood, okay? And it says that she was of the Long-Hair tribe, and his father was a full-blood Caucasian of Scottish descent. That's when I was like, oh, Scott, like Scottish. So not that necessarily that he was Scottish, but that's where the Scott came from. And I was like, oh, because they kept saying really he was Rooster Cootie, or Cootie Rooster, whichever one. It said it somewhere like that. Oh, right here, Scott Cootie, formerly Rooster. So I don't know. They kind of have it confused. I don't know if they're confused or what, but Scott. Now I know that when I see Scott or hear Scott as a Scottish person, or not Scottish, it might be a real Scott, if for those who know what the ish means. But when I look through this, it's got the genealogy of him, of his family, and none of the children listed are Scott Rooster or Peggy. His mother's name was Peggy, and his dad, I think I saw where his dad's name was Tom, and they actually showed different names, Indian names besides the Peggy and Tom. But it wasn't until I was looking way down here, and I'm still trying to look into this. The main thing I wanted y'all to take away from this video that I really was talking about is the whole Scott thing. The last name Scott literally likely means they came from Scotland. So that's one thing I did not catch because I've been so used. Like my stepdad, long ago, his name was John Scott. Damn, now that I think about it, his last name was Scott. It's crazy. It's crazy. But anyways, when I was looking right here, this is the will of Mr. Arthur Cody, the dude here, Cody. And when you go down it, it talks about Negroes, Bob, Tom, Peggy, Kariah, and Amina. Now let me show you what it says. It says, what property is it? What property it has been pleased to God to bless me with after all this debt, all just debts paid to be disposed as follows. My 5 Negroes, Bob, Tom, Peggy, Keziah, and Amina, I want kept together for the support of my beloved wife, Milka, and my family and young children that I leave until my youngest child comes of age. If if it probably means if my Negroes increase, I want them living one roost. I don't know what that means, unless they mean under one roof. And all my children, the oldest children, have the oldest Negroes according to age. Likewise, I want repeated my horses, cattle, hogs kept for the use of the family until my youngest child comes of age, and then sold and equally divided amongst my wife, and my children, to whom I appoint. Wiley Tootin, son, my execute. Okay, whatever. So, long story short, Tom and Peggy supposedly are the parents of Mr. Scott Rooster. Okay? And he got the name Scott added at some point because it must have been Scott Cody, or I'm not sure about that. But at some point that name was added. But we see Peggy down here, and I'll have to try to find the other one where it shows the other person. But the thing is, they look like they were some kind of slaves. As he said, I'm giving away my property, which are my Negroes, right? When you're giving away property, that's what it means, and your will. And so, but at the same time, they're listed as full-blooded Cherokee later. This is when they had passed, and their children are listed as full-blooded Cherokees. So then it's like I'm asking the question. So this is my assumption. But I need proof and I need more information. But my assumption is Mr. Archibald Cody Jr., possibly, since his dad was a Scot, came to the Americas like the other Scots, bred with a half-breed Cherokee during some wars or something, and took over the tribe after some wars or something, bred with a full-blood Cherokee. They, for some reason, said he was a half-blood, so maybe his dad had already, got with one or something. Who knows? It must have been. And then at that point, this might have been around the time where they enslaved the Cherokees. Okay? So, because if you got a half Scot that married in, and all of a sudden he has a bunch of Negroes, okay, as slaves, but then these Negroes in his will are listed as full-blooded Cherokee. Remember, they said after some of these wars that they took in the Cherokees as slaves. So it only makes sense that you would see Negro slaves listed later, once freed, as full-blooded Cherokees. And the Scott helps to connect that back. I got to get more information, man, but y'all can let me know what y'all think about that. I think my family members have proof of being Cherokee slaves of the Scots and others possibly. And then they took over our identity by marrying in and whatever, and then made us slaves, made the other Cherokee slaves. And from that point to start, I don't know, man, but they be playing though. And literally because I only had second slash, I just noticed the name Cootie on here. I've been looking at this the whole time and never noticed the name Cody.